Welcome to the Profits podcast, where we'll talk about business, finance, social media, and everything in between on our paths to profit. Three different people, three different side hustles, one common goal profit. My name is
My
Kyle,
name is Lexi.
My name is Amanda.
and we're your hosts. If you want more details about each of our side hustles, please check out our episode 10 from last week. Set the proper expectations for today's episode. Our format will be as follows. Start today's pod, each discussing some updates from our experiences over the last week, what our goals are for the upcoming week, and we'll wrap up today's pod with a quick summary and some expectations moving forward. Let's dive in, and first we'll hear from Lexi.
Alrighty. So, since we kind of last jumped on the pod, I've been very busy. Amanda knows this firsthand. We spent hours working on her Cookin' Depot hoodie, and it was really just the trial and error that took the most time. We had to peel off one of the transfer vinyls off of the hoodie, which took an absurd amount of time.
Hours.
Genuinely hours. So again, these don't like, it doesn't really take that long. Like, once you're actually like, you have everything figured out, you know exactly like what you're going for. It was just the first time we were really trying and playing out with everything, and we didn't really think it full circle, and once we thought about it, it was a little too late, and we ended up just peeling everything off and restarting. But I did make our 3 Path Profit shirts for us. So these are available on my Etsy shop. Anything Cricket Co. Oh yeah.
Show my ass.
But I'm happy I at least got all of our shirts done, sweatshirts, things like that, all the fun goodies for us. I know Amanda and I were talking about possibly doing the car stickers next. Well, me doing it, but we were just chit-chatting about it. So I didn't post the Amanda's Cookin' Depot personally, but she posted it and tagged me and Anything Cricket Co. So I just reposted that. It did bring a little bit of traffic to my shop, and obviously everything helps. So I did make a onesie for the family member I had spoken about last week. That'll be put kind of on the back burner of posting it, though, just because it is being a gift. So along with a promotion on their end. So I'm just going to have to wait a little bit until that's actually posted. I might still post it on my shop just to kind of put it up there, and then obviously have my family member promote it whenever I give it to them. So it was actually cool. I talked about E-Rank last week and just like the fun different things you could do and see the competition and whatnot. So I actually looked what the competition would be for the onesie, and I searched name onesie, and it's only roughly 3,000 of people like for competition. And then whenever you search just like onesie, it's 23,000 for competition. It's so crazy, like the huge difference just with like one little name change in what you're titling your project.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And I thought that was just absolutely absurd, just to kind of be like, holy shit, like that 20,000 more people are making just a onesie rather than a name onesie. Like, that's so it's crazy to kind of look at the different competition and how many people are making it and whatnot. I also did make a shirt with my husband's nonprofit logo on it, which I'm probably going to be posting that as well, just to kind of get them some recognition as well. I know they're trying to promote as well.
I feel like that was the first time I've heard you in casual conversation say my husband, and it was really weird.
Trust me.
Yeah, I agree.
Trust me. I had to read it off of my screen just to make sure I could say it because it sounds so weird coming out of my mouth. Yeah, anytime I like talk about him, I'm just like, oh yeah, Seth. Like, I don't ever say my husband. So,
That's so funny.
just some kind of stats. For the last 7 days, I've had 10 views, 8 visits, and 0 orders. The last 30 days, I've had 152 views, 59 visits, and 1 order. I'm not really like mad at the numbers, but I'm not necessarily super happy either, just because I feel like I could and should be doing better at this point. I know I'm like obviously being hard on myself about it, but I just really would like to obviously continue sales. So I'm kind of tossing and turning the idea of starting the Etsy ads like I had talked about in like really in the beginning of the podcast, on seeing if that might be something now that I do have 7 listings. I have gotten at least 2 sales. And then obviously with the shirts, I'll have more sales from that as well. So I'm kind of thinking on tossing up that idea as well, just to, because again, I don't really know much about the Etsy ads. I don't really know what all it entails. I can at least look into it, see if I could be interested in it.
What is the difference between a view and a visit?
So the view is viewing the item, the visit is visiting the shop,
Okay.
at least to my knowledge.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
So again, like I had already mentioned when we were talking about the shirts, I posted the 3-Path Profit shirt on my shop. This could be with our logo for purchasing, a custom logo, or I also added my Anything Cricket Co. Logo on there as well that they could get on a shirt. So I have a couple more things that I want to make for family and friends, but honestly, I can only keep going and making things like so many days. Honestly, like I know it's not all super, super time consuming, but it's kind of repetitive going every single day, just constantly like working away at different items. So sometimes it is kind of nice to get a break and focus more on the social media side of it, or just looking more at what I can be doing to promote, looking at competition and things like that. So sometimes it is nice to kind of pull away from the production side of it. I did make a video of myself working on the items, so I do need to sit down and edit that, and actually be able to post that to TikTok and Instagram as well. Because obviously I'm just sitting there like face down, like working away. So like there's no like sound of me doing anything. It's just kind of a boring little video. So I need to speed it up a bit to kind of have people more hopefully intrigued in it.
Yeah, you just got to do like little snippets, like a couple seconds, like here, like just do like a couple seconds of each part, you know?
Yeah. Which I'll probably be coming to you, Miss Editing Queen, on some tips and tricks on that.
Definitely.
So I would say overall, I think I was focusing more on making the items this past week rather than really promoting, posting. Obviously, I don't think that's a bad thing either, but I probably will be more slowing down on more of the making items, since I only have a few items that I've really in my queue to make, and trying to be focusing more on the promotion side of the items I already have made and can make again. I know I kind of touched on this previously, but obviously being more cost cautious on the items that I am purchasing and what I'm buying, what I really need, what I could be just posting from the Adobe Photoshop Express, just because if like I didn't really think about how much I was spending, but I added it up and I've spent like $375 so far just since I started keeping track of what I've bought for the shop and products that I've been making. So I know it doesn't seem like a bunch in the end, but for how little I've been, the like time I've been actually keeping track of it, and obviously not getting a bunch orders, I just would really like to try to focus on.
$375 is still 375
Yeah.
Yeah.
bucks. It hurts to see that go out without any income or revenue on the other
Yeah.
side.
So I definitely think it's really going to be focusing more on kind of promoting and kind of going on that route as well, to really see what I have and being able to shoot out those products to other people. This is just really, really, really random that I was noticing the other night. So on TikTok, you get like the notifications of like, so and so viewed your profile. And it's so funny because, like,
My favorite feature.
right? I love that they did that. And
I actually was talking to Seth about it because I sent a snap a while ago that I was saying that that's my favorite feature. He's like, "What? You can do that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I like showed him. I sent him a screenshot and showed him where, and he doesn't have that on his. And I was like, "I'm sure it's in your settings because you definitely can."
or
turn it
that
on.
he probably hasn't updated the app because he literally doesn't go on it. He only
Oh.
uses Instagram Reels, which are essentially they all turn into the same thing
It's all the same.
one
yeah.
way or another. So he doesn't like ever go on TikTok anymore. But that's probably why he probably hasn't updated it in ages.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of looking on the feature and seeing who, like, someone that I know viewed my profile, but like my Anything Cricket Co, but then didn't follow it. And I think it is just so funny, like, to be like, okay, like if you had something and like I casually came across it, like I'm gonna follow it, whether or not like I purchase anything. I'm still gonna give you the follow if I know you.
Is it a close friend?
There's been a couple people. So yes and no.
I mean,
Not
I have a all the time on my Mern account because my Mern is my personal one, so it's somehow like connected.
Yeah.
And I literally have that all the time.
Yeah. Like it's not like super super close, but just like it I would do it to them. So I was just like, okay, like I just thought it was funny and something to note that you can see that and all the people that you thought could be supportive, even if they are your family or friends or people that you know, might not always be.
Mm-hmm.
So just my goals kind of
Does that,
what?
does that discourage you at all? Not feeling the interaction or support that you thought you would get or hoped you would get or think that you would reciprocate if it was reversed?
Honestly, it's a really good question. No, in the short answer, just because I feel like personally, I know the people that genuinely do want what's best for me and will hype me up no matter what. They're the people that I know are in my corner that will repost for me. Will like all the people that I'm reaching out to obviously have followed me, or all the people that I'm saying like I want to like do a giveaway with you. I want you to promote my products. Like I know at least they have my back and they support me. And it really isn't just about people that I know. It's about people that I have no clue who you are. So I understand, but at the same time, if you don't want to follow me, then teach your own. Fine. Like you don't have to purchase anything. I don't have to make it for you. I'll make it for someone else.
Yeah.
But just some goals kind of moving forward. Just continue posting on my shop social media pages, edit the videos I have taken myself to of the like making the products to post, finish making the items I need to for my friends and family that they said they would post for me to promote as well, and decide if I want to do the Etsy ads or just kind of continue where I'm at, but posting more on the social medias that I do have.
I have more of a comment slash suggestion rather than a question. With the money you've spent, to avoid spending any more money to kind of up your shop, I really think you would benefit from adding photos to the posts that are just showing other things that they can do with it that you can just make on your computer. So like have a printout or a picture of a t-shirt and just put random things on it. Put like a name, family reunion 2024.
Yeah.
Like pick random things that you can put on shirts and just show different things, and also have a picture on the post that shows a couple different fonts that they can pick from, because I know we talked about actually in the episode that's airing this week, because I was just listening to it today, we talked about how we've seen an Etsy post where it shows the different fonts and like
Yep.
you pick, they have them numbered like 1 2 3 4 5 whatever. I really think your posts would benefit from having that on there.
Yeah.
So you're saying post like pictures of what you intend the end product or the design
What it could be, yeah, because
what it
yeah,
could be,
Yeah.
rather than making the product
yes,
and taking a picture of that itself. So
doing it
it reduces
digitally,
Which
yeah.
I had talked
digitally.
about on through Photoshop Express, because I remember I tried it through Canva and it didn't really work that well, but I tried it through Adobe Photoshop Express, and you're able to merge like two items. Like I had a picture of a cup that I was gonna get, and then I put one of my designs like from Cricut
Yeah.
right onto the cup, and it merged perfectly. So I kind of played around with it before. I ended up like posting that on my shop, but I ended up taking it off because I didn't really like that look anymore, so I just took it off. But I definitely think I should play around with it more as well, especially with trying to hold back on spending.
Yeah, just like vamp up your current posts this week instead of making new ones, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the Etsy ads, do you think they're going to be effective, and what does the cost look like there? Can you just shed any light on some insights there?
Let me look really quick because I'm honestly like I haven't really looked a bunch into them. Um, let's see.
Because you have 7 listings
Mhm.
now. You have 2 sales. You're looking to push the listing of the shirts more for more sales. You're not super happy with the results overall. Not too upset either. Um, Starting to figure out the other parts of the process, the Instagram, the social, the interaction piece. My main worry is like scalability and coming to this like crossroad of a decision time for you. I think it's really, you need to internally ask yourself, do I want to focus on fun and enjoyment right now, or am I emotionally being impacted by lack of sales, and should I pivot to try to focus on that? With the $375 already spent, that's starting to become more of a priority for you. I think you just need to audit yourself and come to acceptance of either, okay, I'm going to pursue revenue and I'm going to focus my strategy on just trying to get sales, or you accept that that's not a priority of yours and you know you're going to sink some initial investment in here without getting the initial sales, but really focus on your craft, the details, and like the overall process. I think focusing and doubling down on one of those two is going to be really helpful for you over the next 1 to 3 months, especially as you're building like your platform base, your customer base, and just really figuring out what the fuck you're doing, how you're going to make money, how you're going to scale this thing without risking too much financially as an initial investment. So for me, I think you can blend it a little bit and focus on both, but just auditing yourself and knowing what your target or your compass is in terms of what you're trying to achieve, at least in the short term, is going to relieve a little bit of stress and give you some clarity on what you should focus on in terms of strategy for
Yeah.
results.
To kind of answer the first part of that. So it says Etsy makes it easy to start advertising. Get started for just $1 a day. All you need to do is set your budget and choose which listings to promote.
Does it say how many people they'll guarantee that they show it to? Like on TikTok, depending on how much you spend, determines how many, like,
Yeah.
exactly how many people they for sure will guarantee they show it to.
This is based on a May 2020 analysis of shops that ran Etsy ads campaign for at least 30 days in 2019. Sellers who tried Etsy ads in 2019 for at least 30 days received 170 clicks during that time on average. In 2019, 20% of traffic to shops with an active campaign came from Etsy ads on average.
So 170 interactions for $1 a day in a month.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
It's not
It's
bad.
not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not bad.
I had like a tangent thought while Kyle was talking. It was totally unrelated to his question. Do you have like, did you think about when you posted the shirt ad that, like, I don't know if you selected what colors people can buy? Like, did you think about making sure they're colors that you can easily get from Walmart that are in stock?
Yes and no, just because I can essentially get whatever color. It doesn't need to be that exact same shirt.
So you would do it like from Amazon or something?
Yeah.
I was just thinking like,
Yeah.
because like if someone orders it and then all of a sudden it's out of stock wherever you're going to order it from. But
It's also kind of to go on a tangent off of that, actually. I never brought this up, but it's a good thing to bring up. A lot of the variations that they like let you add on to the post, they don't let you add very many like variations. Like what shirt size you like. I was only able to add what shirt size on there and what design you wanted on there. Like it didn't let me add any more variations. So you can't really even do a color variation. I would have to take off the either the shirt size or the design variation for people just to click that.
That's interesting because I know that I have done that on things before.
I know it doesn't make really much sense to me at all.
I wonder if that's like a premium thing, like, because do you pay for like the premium Etsy?
No.
I wonder if that's because like normally whenever I order something on Etsy, like there's usually one or two options at first, and then whenever I go to like personalize, then more like show up.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely have to look more into it as well, I'm sure, because there's definitely something that I'm not.
Yeah, there has to be a way that you can have color selection for sure.
The last thing, or a last thought, I guess, is I think thinking about a scenario of how you're going to make a profit is a good idea or a good exercise. Like, take a piece of paper and pen and think, like, write out some scenarios of, like, all right, I sold 50 shirts at this price. I bought the shirts for this price. I spent this many hours valuing my hours at this wage per hour.
Yeah.
Run through a scenario of what it looks like when you make a profit from a sale. That'll give you an idea and an insight of, okay, where do I need my prices to be? Okay, where does my volume need to be? How many sales do I actually need to make to earn a profit?
Yeah.
When does it make sense to do it this way or do it that way in terms of posting like the picture of the customization possibilities versus posting a final product or whatever? Going through those exercises of thinking about how you're going to make a profit and what it looks like when you get a mass order or running through those scenarios, I think is going to give you a lot of insight into what your next steps are and how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that does it for me for Lexi. Do you have anything else for her, Amanda, before I jump in here?
Nope. You're up.
Okay.
You're up, Buttercup.
All right. Well, we'll jump in with a portfolio update here. Net value of the account is $1,035.68. It actually peaked today
Woo!
at the end of
Hell yeah.
hours. So yeah, that's a very positive metric to look at there. Up over $35. That's up over 3% so far since I've started. Great results there. No complaints. That's awesome to see.
The highest before, was it 1,021 or 1,025? I can't remember.
I think it was 25.
I know it went from like 20, 21, 25, whatever it was, down to like 1,003 and then up to 1,019. I can't remember if it was 21.
Yep. That's cool to see that you guys are keeping a pulse on that, because of just that is the natural behavior of markets. Of it's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to ebb and flow. It did do that. It went up to 125, then 103, and then 119. 125 was the high on 624 prior to today.
I'm good with numbers.
Miss Math teacher.
So last week, comparatively, the S&P 500 gained 1.72%, and my portfolio gained 1.59%. So did lag the S&P a little bit there, but still both are solid numbers to look at. Best performers in my portfolio was Blackstone Mortgage Trust at 5.1% gain over the past week. That's great to see. They've been struggling a little bit. They've been on the worst performer update for the past couple of weeks. So that's good to see them bounce back a little bit. And they were really the only big mover this week in either direction. The TLT was up 1.9%. That was the biggest other mover. And then in terms of bad performers, Coca-Cola was down 0.7% and Pfizer was down 0.4%. So not a lot of market movement from my portfolio besides from Blackstone. So dividends in the past week, the TLT dividend came in, and that is the only one that pays monthly. So that I get every single month. And for the month of July, it was 31 cents a share. I have 1.12 shares. So I got 33 cents from that. bringing total dividends received in the prior week to be 33 cents. And year-to-date dividends is $4.93, and total cash in the portfolio is now up to $5.40.
That's pretty good because you only started what, 2 months ago, tops?
I think it's 5 weeks now.
Oh,
So
a
I think
month.
officially, yeah. I think since I made the initial trades, and I'll have to go back and backdate to confirm, but I think since I made the trades to today, it's been like 5 weeks.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
that's really good. In 1 month, seeing $5 worth of dividends and $35 worth of price appreciation is great. So just to highlight again, dividend reinvestment is off. Just still going to use that cash flow, build up that cash pile to have some flexibility into what I want to reinvest in strategically. Earnings reports, still no update here. Bank of America is next week, so that will be exciting to have the first earnings report to sift through. Definitely will take a little more time when we have one of those to go over, because that is, like I've mentioned, that is what I'm getting the bulk of my information from on these companies and how I'm valuing them. And then a micro update. Last week, we took a look at a deeper dive into Ford, and that was just so to recap, $12.87 a share, down 14% over the past year, 60-cent dividend per share, worth around 51 billion in market cap, EPS $2, PE of around 6.5. Overall rating was a hold. This week, I took a look into Bank of America. They're trading at $41.73 per share. They are up 45.64% over the past year.
Wow.
That's a great return. They're on a really good run. They've hit all-time highs over the past 2 weeks multiple times. They're definitely showing some strong performance.
Why?
A lot of reasons. It's bigger banks have been performing better than regional banks. So I don't know if you guys remember or heard about the regional banking crisis of, I think that was 2022 or 2023 now. I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last spring. So 2023. Couple of regional banks shut down, and that caused a lot of stress and speculation on regional bank stress testing and just how liquid and how solvent these regional banks were. And the bigger banks like Bank of America and JP Morgan Chase, there's the phrase of too big to fail. These companies are so big. Like I heard JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon say, we move over $11 trillion of cash every day. So that's for the governments, that's for the US
Holy
government,
shit.
that's for businesses, that's for international governments. So these ultra large banks like JP Morgan and Bank of America are such large institutions and are like the cornerstone of the international financial markets that they're shielded and react in a different way than smaller regional banks like your PNC Bank in Pittsburgh would react, because they're just so big. And that's why Bank of America has really benefited from those economies of scale and just having the resources and the assets that they do. And they've just reported strong earnings and strong revenue growth over the past year comparing to the rest of the banking sector, and more specifically the regional banks.
Um, so I'm glad you mentioned PNC. PNC is a regional,
Correct.
but like we have them in Florida.
Correct.
So what does regional mean?
I'm looking up the difference between a regional bank.
Like is regional just, I mean, to me, like by definition, I would think it's only in certain areas, but and so like PNCs in Pittsburgh are everywhere. It's definitely noticeable that there's fewer and much less locations down here, but we have them.
So the Federal Reserve defines a regional bank as one with $10 billion to $100 billion in assets. So regional banks typically provide checking accounts, loans, credit cards, etc. Bigger banks like JP Morgan and Bank of America engage in investment activities like all those other investment banking and things like that, in addition to those other products and services. So it's really about size
Yeah, I
and
think that's
what
weird
the
that they
bank
choose
offers.
the word regional then if it's about size.
Yeah, I
But
agree. Because it does, like,
I think,
sorry, go ahead.
I mean, in history, regional banks were regional.
okay,
So like PNC
sure.
was located simply to the Pittsburgh or like the northeastern region. And as even the regionals grew, they obviously acquired more market share and grew bigger than they were, but they still differentiate them between regional and large bank just by some parameter. And that's the parameter that they have set, at least by the Fed.
What does PNC stand for? I don't know if I've ever even thought about that.
Good question.
It doesn't stand for Pittsburgh, right?
No. Yeah, I don't actually know.
Pittsburgh National Corporation.
Oh, it is. Oh
Whoa.
shit.
I thought it was
So
Pennsylvania over
PNC can
Pittsburgh.
stand for different things depending on the context. PNC Bank, financial institution that is the product of a merger of two Pennsylvania banks in 1983, Pittsburgh National Corporation and Provident National Corporation.
Huh.
So, yeah.
That's interesting. So what is it just it can be either now? Like there's not
So, no, it's called Pittsburgh National Corporation.
okay. That's pretty cool that it's Pittsburgh. I didn't know that.
I thought it was PA.
Was established in 1862 by Pennsylvania Quakers and was informally known as the Quaker Bank.
I mean, it makes sense because there's what, like, I think 7 different buildings in downtown Pittsburgh that house PNC,
Yeah,
like,
that's
Mhm.
people.
yeah.
Operates in 27 states and District of Columbia, 2,600 branch, 9,500 ATMs.
Yeah, like if you looked up how many branches are in Pittsburgh compared to like me, there's going to be way more.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I know there's one in Fort Myers, there's one in Bonita, and there's one in Naples, but there's one in each town. Whereas in Pittsburgh, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And in Pittsburgh, like any Sheets you go to is a PNC ATM. At least Sheets. I'm sure there's other ones, but like all Sheets have PNC ATMs.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I mean, yeah, even like IUP's like banking through them was PNC.
So, yeah, I mean, in terms of comparison of PNC to Bank of America, PNC's very large for a regional bank. Let me look at their size. And that's a good idea, actually. I'm going to jot that down in my notes of doing a comparison on a micro basis of like a Bank of America versus a PNC.
I like it.
A comparison between like a competitor, not just like a different stock in my portfolio.
Yeah. Well, I was also thinking of you doing or what the difference between Bank of America and JP Morgan would be. Or
Yeah,
another
that would be good.
Or another big
Cool
bank
break.
that is
Do
like
Chase.
their size.
Do Chase.
I don't care which one, just one that
Chase's JP.
Oh, it
Morgan.
is?
JP Morgan Chase.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
you learn something new every day.
Yeah, when you see Chase Bank on the corner, that's JP Morgan.
My card says Chase though.
Yeah. It's a Chase credit card or Chase debit card, and your checking account and your savings account will all say Chase. So PNC is 64 billion in market cap, and Bank of America is 323 billion.
Ooh.
So Bank of America is like 5 times larger than PNC.
Dang.
And PNC's having a good year too. They're up 31% over the past year.
I think it's crazy just to like think about it that way and how much bigger it is because how much PNC is thrown at us in the location that I'm in.
This is really random, but this just popped in my head because we're like comparing things right now. So, Kyle, you talk a lot about Snapchat. Does like Instagram and all them, are they all publicly traded too? Instagram? I guess
Instagram's
Instagram and
owned by
Facebook are the
Meta.
one and the same, but what?
Yeah. Instagram's owned by Meta.
Meta platforms.
Yeah, Meta's Facebook. Meta is the parent company that owns Facebook, Threads, WhatsApp, Instagram. So the main competitors of Snapchat is like actually like Match.com, Pinterest, Meta,
X.
and X. Yeah.
I feel
I
like
mean, it also competes with Amazon, Google, Netflix, any predominant advertising company, like a company that gets most of their revenues from advertising, that's going to be someone that they compete with because they're all competing for advertising dollars, and that's Snapchat's main source of revenue. So to recap, Bank of America, I'm rating them as a hold just because they've had earnings resilience and they're very well diversified, obviously, and they're second largest bank, like we talked about, but they are at all time highs, and I just don't. You're always skeptical adding to your position when it's currently at all time highs because that's the most expensive it's ever been. Um, you're hoping to obviously buy it at a lower price because you're hoping it's going to go up. But right now, I'm happy with the position. I'm happy with how it's been performing. I still think it's going to do well over the next second half of the year here. But I do think there could be a pullback for a better entry point. So that's why I have it rated as a hold. Some macro updates. Jay Powell's been testifying at Congress and in front of the Finance Committee. And the overall sentiment is that the economy is cooling, but they're in no rush. So he's basically saying we're getting good data points, we're making progress, but we're not going to indicate or make a decision too soon and cause an issue there. They're being very patient, which I think is good, and they're being very data dependent. But he did make some comments like slowing, but at a strong pace. Unemployment is still at historical lows, but we're starting to watch both sides of the mandate. The Federal Reserve has a dual mandate. So they have two things that they're charged with doing. One is keeping inflation under control. That is their main goal, is to keep inflation at a long-term rate of 2%. They do that with monetary policy, setting interest rates. The other piece of that mandate is employment. They're tasked with targeting full employment in the economy. That's somewhat of an oxymoron because those two are a lot of the times inversely correlated. When employment is at full capacity and the economy is doing really well, inflation usually is running a little more rampant or a little more hot. As inflation cools and the economy cools, employment usually takes a step back and unemployment starts rising. So they're tasked with a difficult mandate, balancing inflation and employment, being that they're inversely correlated a lot of the times, is difficult to be able to toe the line of that balancing act, and why I think they're being so patient in making a decision on when they're going to cut. Because if here's the scenario, if they wait too long to cut interest rates, the economy is going to be forced into a recession because unemployment's going to go too high, inflation's going to plummet. There's not going to be enough growth because interest rates are restricting the economy from growing. If they cut too soon, inflation can start ticking back up again, and then we deal with what we've been dealing with over the past 2 years of high inflation. That's not good for the economy. So that's why they're in this predicament of trying to time it in a Goldilocks scenario of the cutting at the perfect time of balancing employment where we don't have unemployment skyrocket, but also have inflation come down meaningfully towards their goal. That's why it's been been a tough a tough line for them to walk, but I think they're doing a very good job at it so far. And what I've heard out of Powell over the last 2 days has been positive, at least for my investment thesis. So, some other updates. Reading on Seeking Alpha, I read an article that talked about inventories rising. That's also confirmed with just some peers in the industry I've talked to in the logistics sector, that inventories are rising, which drives costs down, because when you have more inventories, you're willing to let it go at a lower price. That's a downward inflationary pressure. But shipping costs are rising, which means costs are going up. When you buy a shirt, online, as the cost of shipping containers and shipping in general goes up, the price of that shirt goes up in turn. That's an upward inflationary pressure. And then unemployment is rising. So it's up to 4.1%. It was at like 3.8% a couple of months ago. So unemployment is rising. And that is a deflationary pressure as well, because when you have more labor supply to choose from, you can pay them less to do the same job. A question I have written down here is, do we expect inflation? Because inflation expectations actually drive inflation. It's somewhat of a self fulfilling prophecy. And a lot of why just what the Fed says they're going to do with interest rates has such a big impact on inflation, and what we expect them to do has such a big impact. Because if I expect there to be inflation, I'm going to start charging you more. You getting charged more from me, you're now going to charge your customers more. So it's always a lagging indicator. If I expect there to be inflation, I'm going to increase my prices, and so on and so forth throughout the economy. So it's an interesting question of, do you expect inflation in your personal life and the economy that you're operating in as a consumer? Like, are you guys seeing that? And do you expect that over the next year? Like, what are your expectations in terms of the economy as a whole? Are you guys positive, optimistic? Do you think inflation is going to continue? And what are you guys seeing there in terms of your experience?
I feel like in my situation, I don't want to say it doesn't matter for me, but like it doesn't matter to me compared to a lot of people because I already own my condo. So it's not like I'm worried about the interest rates. I do feel like, in that sense, I don't want to sell anytime soon because of the interest rates. So in that aspect, sure, it has an impact. Um, but when it comes to like items at the grocery store, goes back to when we had that conversation about buying gas. Like I have to buy the groceries. So
More of, do you expect inflation to continue? Like, over our lifetime, we've had pretty stable and controllable inflation. It's not like we grew up hearing about how inflation was horrible. Like, when our parents were our age, all they heard about was raging inflation. Like, that was huge. That was like what they grew up hearing. We're not in the same boat.
I
Like,
mean, that's all anyone's talked about the last 4 years.
in the last 2 years.
I mean, I think it kind of depends on a lot of what the end of the year brings.
A simple answer, yes.
Yeah.
Naturally things are going to continue to cost more, yes.
I mean, I think there's always going to be highs and lows in it. There's always going to be the ups and downs of things increasing and things decreasing. Like you're saying, how employment is affecting it and all these things are affecting it. I feel like there's going to be so many things causing each other to do highs and lows.
I forget what the girl's name is. Kyle, you might know. She is all over social media. She's someone that like goes and like buys businesses and like kind of flips them, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I know her.
Long, dark brunette.
Kind of, yeah, almost a Layla Hormozy, but like
Yes.
much softer around the edges.
Yes.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
She was talking about, I forget what the term is called, but she was talking about how, like, even though inflation is slowing / gone down, like when you go to the grocery store, the prices went up for these things because inflation was going up, but like they're never going to actually decrease and make the price go back down to what it used to be.
Sure.
I forget what
That would be deflation.
that term's called that she said it was. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know what term you're looking for, but that would be deflation, and that's not good for anybody. Nobody wants prices to go down. You might think you do, like, yeah, I want to go to the grocery store and spend $1 on eggs instead of 4. You don't really, I mean, you might want that as a sale or a deal, but decreasing prices as a whole across the economy, it's the same. It's back to that question of if you expect inflation. If the price at the grocery store all start dropping drastically, that's going to ripple and carry through the whole economy and eventually make its way back to wages and overall money supply and overall growth, and it's just going to be bad for the economy. So you don't actually want there to be deflation or price decreases. You just want it to be stable. And again, that's why it's back to the Fed's mandate is to target 2% inflation. They don't want 0% inflation. They don't want negative inflation. They want a steady and stable 2% increase that decreases uncertainty, increases growth, and just fosters a confidence about the economy that we're going to continue growing but not have rampant inflation. So, overall, just to review and conclude here, still in sit tight and hold mode, still just reviewing the portfolio. Going to have a similar format next week. Have Blackstone Mortgage Trust dividends coming up next week. That's the biggest dividend in my portfolio. So that'll be exciting for that to come across. Bank of America's earnings next week will be fun to dive into. And otherwise, I will just have some more updates next week.
All right. To just quickly go into my current stats and highlights from the past week for Cooking Depot, I posted my 7 videos, 1 per day. So on TikTok for Cooking Depot, I had 260,000 views, 9,381 likes, and 595 additional followers. Now I'm up to 3,836 followers. Just kind of quick highlight of my TikTok videos over the past week. None of the videos that I actually posted this past week had over 1,000 views. Most of those views came from my mac and cheese video that I posted the week prior for my 4th of July menu. And the mac and cheese video is currently at 269,000. So obviously the 260 didn't come all from that video, but I'd say a good majority of it came from that video even through this week.
Don't get me wrong, though, that video was, I need to try
it. Oh my God. It was so good. The amount of garlic that I put in it is the key because, oh my God, it was so good.
I can't wait to try it.
So then for Instagram, for Cooking Depot over the last 7 days, I had 2,663 accounts reached, 126 likes, 4 additional followers. So now I'm at 106 followers. Facebook, still TBD. I did not get a chance to play around with it and figure out how to correctly post, so don't have any updated stats there. YouTube, over the last 7 days, I had 4,998 views, 112 likes, and 12 new subscribers. So now I'm at 13.
That's a big jump from last week.
Yep. And then for Mern,
sorry to cut you.
So no, that's actually one of the things that I have later on. I'll just touch on it now.
Okay.
I didn't do anything different. So if you remember me last week saying like I literally had no views on a lot of the videos.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's like impossible to have 0. Like it's one thing if it was 10 views, 20 views, low views, but to have no views, it was weird. And I did not do a single thing different this week. Nothing different. I don't know. Yeah. For Mern, I only posted 1 video, which I typically like to have 2 posted, so I only posted 1. I did post 1 today, but because I posted it today, it'll be on next week's stats. So TikTok over the last 7 days for Mern, 1,582 views, 73 likes, 2 additional followers to be at 55. And Instagram, 316 accounts reached, 5 likes, 2 additional followers for 22. And I did post the one video that I posted, I did post on my personal story on Instagram. And I did get one of the 2 additional followers was from that. And that reel had 434 views, which was higher than the other reels that I've posted on my Mern Instagram in the past. So I'm blaming that on the fact that I posted it on my personal Instagram. So that's what I got stats wise. For my tasks completed for this week, I really didn't do anything outside of editing and posting the content that I had prepped. I was still home. I'm back now and ready to be back to the grind, but I didn't devote any time to anything outside of just posting the content.
So real quick
Yeah.
on the stats update,
Mm-hmm.
600 followers in 7 days on TikTok. That's a really big jump.
It's been 300, 400, 500 every week the past few weeks. That's good.
That's a crazy growth stat.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And 260,000 views. I mean, imagine how many people that really is. You know what I mean? Like Heinz Field is 80,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and you're packing that bitch like three plus times completely full and then some.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people. That's a really organic reach. That's a lot of people that you're reaching. And I'm excited. I see that you have another update on first brand deal. I'm excited to see what kind of interest there is from people with niche products like Lexi, where people who have products or services that align with what you're doing are going to be interested in getting in front of those viewers.
Yeah. It's exciting for sure. Definitely going in the right direction.
And the YouTube stats, I mean, that's insane. I mean, doing
Yeah.
nothing different and going from 0 to 5,000
Yeah.
views, already having like 13 subscribers.
And I
Seven.
will say the learning curve is much better now. The first week that I added YouTube and Facebook, which I'm sure it'll change again once I figure out how to properly post on Facebook. But I'm back to having a routine. I know exactly what to do on Instagram, what to do on TikTok, what to do on YouTube, kind of thing. So adding YouTube to my mix really only adds maybe 5 minutes to my routine, maybe, you know. So
Yeah, it's just once you get the hang of it.
5 minutes and
honestly.
it's adding 5,000 more people to it.
Yeah.
I think that's worth it, you know.
Yeah.
Just my general updates that I like to give for the week on YouTube. Maybe you guys know this. I haven't played around with it enough. Do you know, like, can you see who your subscribers are? I can't find
No
it.
idea.
I can't find it anywhere. Like on Instagram and TikTok, you can like look through your follower list. On YouTube, I can't find it, and I haven't devoted a lot of time. Like I said, I really didn't do much outside of posting the stuff this past week. But like, I would like to know who those 12 additional people were, and I couldn't figure out where the list is.
I don't.
But I mean, YouTube was like back in the day before, you know, like
Yeah.
you very well might not be able to see who they are.
Yeah, I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like obviously.
I'm not a YouTube guy. Like I use YouTube when I need a tutorial on how to change a tire, but like I've never been a guy who used YouTube or like
I love
don't
YouTube.
subscribe to pages.
I feel like
you know?
once I was on YouTube a bunch and when I was like subscribing to people, I feel like I was able to see who I subscribed to.
I can see who I subscribe to,
But I don't know.
There's a page where you
Yeah.
hit subscriptions and it shows you all of them.
But I don't know if there's a area for you to see who's subscribed to you.
Yeah, so I'll have to play around with it more this week, but I don't think you can see that, which I find interesting.
Yeah,
You
why?
just have subscribers and you don't know who they actually are.
Yeah. Okay.
So then the next thing I was going to say was about YouTube not changing anything and getting more views. And then after that, On Instagram, if you remember way back, I don't even remember what episode it was, where I talked about how when I saved a video on TikTok and then posted it on Instagram, I got the notification about copyright issues because it had a sound on it. I don't know what Instagram did, what deal they worked out, but I've just saved videos now and not even cared if they get copyright issues, and I just post it, and I've never once had that notification again. And now, actually, the past two things that I've posted, I put songs on, and like a few minutes after I post it, it's crazy how fast their AI works. Like, nowhere on my video does it say the song that's embedded in my video. Like on TikTok, it'll say in the bottom corner what song I attached to that video. But because I saved it onto my phone, that name is no longer on the video. It just plays that sound in the video. And then on Instagram, minutes after I post it,
I remember that being the case even back in 2020, 2021, when Lexi and I were posting TikToks. Like if it wasn't a song that was already on Instagram or TikTok, they booted it
no, I'm
immediately.
saying they don't do that anymore. They don't do that. You're not letting me finish.
Really?
Yes. No. So minutes after I post this video, it gives me a notification. Instagram just added your reel to the blah, blah, blah page, and it adds it to that song name page. Somehow it knows the song that's in my video.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's really
Yeah, it is.
weird.
So, like, for example, on my Mern account, I posted the distillery tour, and I put the Luke Combs beer song on it. It's like Beer Me, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And as soon as I posted it, like maybe 5 minutes later, it's like, your reel has been added to the Beer Me by Luke Combs page on Instagram. It's crazy how
That's
fast their AI
insane.
works. It's crazy. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what Instagram did, if they worked out a deal with TikTok or what, but I have not had any copyright issues at all since like the very beginning of me posting stuff.
Totally thought that was going to be the opposite of where you were going with that.
Yeah, no. I know, right? I know.
Honestly, they at this point they probably did work out a deal because again, all of the stuff that's on TikTok eventually goes to Instagram Reels anyway.
Right.
It's just pretty much a copy and paste of it, maybe like 1
Yeah.
second different. So at this
Right.
point, they might as well just make a deal with each other so they don't have to go through all of those issues.
My dine or don'ts, I originally said I wanted to do 2 Merns per week, one being a dine or don't. I think I might have to put those on hold the next week or so, just because I'm trying to just eat home cooked food. I've eaten so much crap the last few weeks being out of town that I just want to eat healthy. So I just need to put those on hold, I think, for a little bit, for no other reason outside of that. My to-do list for the upcoming week, just getting back to the grind. I made a little daily routine for myself for the last few weeks that I'm off of work, trying to get up early and just make a schedule so I don't feel like I have to do so much every day, just kind of balancing it out. So the schedule that I made, I think there's a total of 3 separate hours each day devoting to content stuff. And then obviously if I want to do more than that, but just not to like overdo it and kill myself in that regard. I do need to send a follow-up email like we talked about last week to the brand that I was in contact with. That's definitely on my to-do list. I want to contact more brands. I contacted, I think, 4 in total whenever I did that a couple weeks ago. But I definitely want to figure out some more brands that I want to work with, contact them. Have at least one post this week that has a TikTok shop link in it. I need to sit down and figure out the whole Facebook thing. And then for, I think, the 3rd time I have on my to-do list, the Amazon Associates. I need to figure that out. The last 2 weeks, I just really did not devote any time to anything outside of just posting the content. So I definitely have a lot that I want to get done in the upcoming 7 days. So hopefully I'm productive in the next week or so. Outside of that, I just got my goals and my shout outs. So you guys got anything for me?
I feel like this is not necessarily a question, more of a comment. I know like you keep talking about the Amazon Associates thing. It's essentially very similar to the TikTok shop, like links. Like when someone buys an item from your link or from your page or whatever, you're getting commission off of that. It's essentially very similar to the Amazon Associates.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like sign up, give it a go. But I think a lot of people are also buying things off of the TikTok shop as well. So if you don't want to add another thing, you could just focus a lot on that since you're already posting on TikTok.
I like that thought. My only thought with wanting to do that is that when I post TikTok shop links on Instagram, there's been one or two times where I like don't post the video because it's kind of a silly video without the TikTok shop link.
Yeah.
So I'd like to have both to be able to post the video and link the product on TikTok shop. And then when I go to
Okay.
Instagram, link the Amazon link.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. To get it like two birds with one stone, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Kyle, nothing?
The only thing I had is highlighting contact more brands. I think that's good on so many levels for so many reasons. Just,
Well, and
I mean,
the one
engaging with brands that you like and that are applicable to your niche is just going to get you better community
Niche.
engagement. There's opportunities for collaboration, and it's an opportunity for you to make that first dollar. And I think that is the most realistic possibility for you to earn the first dollar quickly is finding a brand that likes what you stand for and is willing to pay you to put their brand associated with yours.
I agree. And actually, one of the brands that I want to look into this week, if you remember a couple weeks ago, whenever I first talked about looking into brands, was the website that was the cookware, like pots and pans.
Yeah.
And I had to have a Facebook account
It's a great
fill
one.
out the thing, which now I have a Facebook account. So I just need to go back and like fill that out now that they have it. And once I fill that out, like it seemed like
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's crazy to me that you have the viewership and the following that you do without a brand deal already. Like you have
Yeah.
the stats and the following to warrant it. So all you got to do is reach out.
All right. Well, my goals, I added one. I kept my same two from the past. I don't know how many weeks now. 1, make the Festala. 2, 10,000 followers on TikTok, which, I didn't change this one. I realized in our, I guess not in our template because I just made it the template today. But normally I would copy and paste from the previous episode. It said TikTok. 10,000 followers on TikTok, not TikTok. And then the third goal is my first brand deal. So those are my goals that I'd like to attain, and my handles where you can find me on social media: cookin.depot, cooking without the G, cookin.depot on Instagram and TikTok, and Mern _. Mern, MERN is my nickname, _.
Alrighty. So that does it for today's episode of the Three Path Profits podcast. We want to thank you guys for listening and encourage you to leave comments or questions to help us improve moving forward. We'll be posting episodes every Friday, so please stay tuned and make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any episodes or any important updates. If you enjoyed the podcast, tell a friend or family member you think would enjoy. And also please be sure to check out our social media pages, TikTok and Instagram at 3.path.profits. We want to appreciate all your support, and we'll catch you next week.